Inspiration. It's a powerful driving force that lays beyond any successful project. But rarely do the latter reach the level of popularity sufficient for establishing its own genre and inspiring other creators. This was the case with now legendary Castlevania and Dark Souls series, each generating millions of dollars in revenues and pleasing fans and critics alike all around the world. Blasphemous bears pieces of both in its DNA, itself being a work of recently revitalized 2D action genre. It's not an attempt at 2D Souls, despite what you might be thinking. You aren't going to be grinding for XP or keeping a watchful eye on a stamina meter. In a lot of ways, Blasphemous is a traditional action platformer. It just so happens to borrow elements like tying enemy response to resting and drenching item descriptions in lore. Blasphemous feels like a game for those who crave the mystique and grotesqueness of Souls but aren't prepared to pay as dearly in terms of blood and sweat. That feeling dissipates, however, when you run into a boss, all of whom sport fat health reservoirs and attacks that escalate wildly when they are on the ropes. Each boss is as much an assault on the senses as a test of your reflexes. There is a giant blindfolded baby held aloft by a writhing stack of worms, which strikes by means of a snake-headed tentacle. Elsewhere, a skeletal bishop lounges on a bed of hands, as though crowd surfing in the wake of an especially rousing sermon. The battles follow age-old patterns. Wait for a break in the flow before attacking or healing, memorize which moves can be parried or rolled through and which must be avoided. But within those parameters there's some decent variety. One encounter sees you climbing a shaft while dodging or deflecting spears. Another human-sized boss scuttles along the ceiling, throwing and retrieving its blade to conjure a wall of fire. By and large, the boss fights are engaging and tough, but also fair. Any single screen of Blasphemous can be filled with multiple enemies attacking at all angles. Despite memorizing their unique attacks and making liberal use of the large window of time to parry and counter-attack, one misstep can lead to ruin. When you add slicing apart tormented souls in Blasphemous, you are scaling walls with your sword, leaping between disintegrating platforms and grasping precarious ledges. Encircling cathedrals, shrieking nuns, rosary beads and thorns. Blasphemous uses Christianity as its foundation for a world blanketed in chaos. The narrative requires piecing together disparate clues and reading between the lines. If you can't be bothered, that's fine. You'll find value in the lavish world building and double-take worthy cutscenes, enough to get you from point A to B to Z and back up to A for an overlooked item. Your silent hero, known as the Penitent One, is tasked with achieving the Cradle of Affliction, a penance that takes him to the Mother of Mothers. If that all sounds weirdly esoteric, that's because Blasphemous thrives on being cryptic. Completionists will have a hell of a time scrounging for everything, though there is a ton of stuff to uncover, some of which is practical and some of which is basically filler meant to flesh out the background and set the mood. While exploring, you come across prayers, special abilities that use magic called Fireball. Player spells can increase attack speed, call in arrow attack, create large area of effect attacks, and more. Sword upgrades spice up the combat, adding even more stylish attack animations, charge attacks, upward slashing finishers, and magnificent lunge attack, which combines dodging and stabbing to create the perfect long-distance hit. All of this naturally fit in with the fine-tuned basic maneuvers. All things considered, Blasphemous is an unforgiving, brutal, and fair entry into Metroidvania genre. Beneath the drudgery is a compelling and dark tale waiting to be uncovered. If you're willing to endure its gore, you'll be rewarded with grim and spectacular visuals that will be forever burnt into your mind and an equally twisted story to imagine.